Charger on, and while I'm letting things cool down, I figured I'd show you guys the auxiliary battery system that I have for the 4Runner. I have one for the trailer, but the 4Runner one, even though it all kind of came together, trailer and 4Runner simultaneously, the 4Runner one is its own independent auxiliary battery system. So I want to show you guys the details for that. Okay, let's go check it out. This is from Golden Mate. Almost forgot. Golden Mate is the brand. They are, like all batteries, made in China. This is a cool battery because, for one, got a super good deal on it. I think it was less than 300 bucks. It is a 120 amp hour lithium ion battery with 100 amp continuous discharge. Super dusty here, but got a built-in screen there. You can kind of tell. There it goes. There's 100, so 100%. I haven't charged this thing in months. Holds the charge very well, probably less than a percent drop a month maybe. I have this strapped down just right in the side here. This thing is got built-in grab handles, and it's got some kind of like decent dust rating to it naturally. It also has a built-in Bluetooth, so I can actually see discharge, charge, time to full battery, time to full discharged battery, and other warning things rather than being limited to just the screen. Also, if my phone dies or the app's not working, I have the screen. So running it up to here, I have my power box. This is from a company called Kick-Ass. It's got a little light on top here. I wanted this for a few years. They were more money than I wanted to pay, but it's all built in, and if you do it yourself for as good of quality, you're gonna spend as much, if not more, money doing this. I think I bought this for like $450. So another voltage gauge here. So with lithium ion, voltage is hard to determine, like the battery level. Unlike lead acid batteries, you can just guess from the voltage and know how much battery capacity is left. So that case, it just kind of shows me a generic amount. Once it gets down to like 12.6, that's when you're like 20% battery left. So it's kind of like a last minute warning of around that. Got a 20 amp battery charger that does solar and alternating charging, not at the same time, but DC to DC charging here. And then I have 5 switches here, and I can basically, just wiring whatever I want, have the wires come out of here. I'm thinking about putting a light around the ceiling and wiring up my water pump, which is underneath the seat here. At the moment, it's not hooked up. It was bolted up here previous. I'm just gonna figure out a way to bolt it in here. It's just chilling for the moment. But I'm gonna wire this water pump up so I can transfer water from streams or from tank to tank, or just have my my 10-gallon tank rectangularly that fits in here. It's a nice slim 10-gallon tank. Fits along the line here. Gonna have my water pump hooked up so I can just flick it on from there instead of plugging things in. Also have 2 12-volt cigarette outlets, and then 2 sets of USBs, one with the standard, I think 2.5 amp, and then this is the high speed QC charger with a C-port style plug right there. Got the lithium ion chart, or lithium ion compatible, but this is the AGM battery, voltage chart, state of voltage. But let's go look at the other side here. Alrighty, so you have not just cigarette outlet and USBs plus switches to wire in, but you also have 4 Anderson connectors. These upper 2 are, this is the charge input, this is for the alternator charging or off your house battery, and this is off of solar here. This charger, unlike some of the nicer dual DC chargers, this charger specifically only does one at a time, solar or DC from the alternator, while my old Renogy charger would do both at the same time. On the other hand, this only maxes at 20 amps, and I have a high output 170 amp alternator, so when it is running off DC, it's getting as much power as it can possibly take. But there is a solar priority button where, for whatever reason, if I'm needing to use alternator power and need to charge, I can switch it to solar if I had a solar panel on the vehicle, but I don't. don't have anything, I just bring my own portable solar panel, set it on the ground, and then just plug it in with an Anderson connector and an adapter cord for that. Next here is the air pump, which has the 3-prong style. This is not to plug into here, but specifically to have the compatible plug to plug it directly into the alternator, which is the same effect of clipping it right to the battery. So this goes down here, and here we are. So this is set up to either plug into my trailer and charge the trailer, to plug into the vehicle here. I do not have the air pump bolted down yet. There we go. Now it's plugged in here, and it's looked like it's seen some voltage, so it's flashing a little bit. There are 3 prongs, because one is the I indicator is the alternator voltage sensor. So if there's a cut in and cut out depending on what the voltage is, so you don't have to unplug or plug things in. You can leave everything plugged in, and it will start charging whenever it has enough power. That said, this only has 100 amps max fuse here, and the air pump runs at 90 amps. So instead of just plugging it in, and these are only 50 per bank anyway, so I'd have to split it just to be able to power this anyways. I figured that it was just simplest with unplugging it temporarily and plugging it in straight off the alternator. It would be like maybe 10 minutes tops of not charging batteries, but that's been my solution, so that way I don't have to take this out, take it to the front of the vehicle, or leave it permanently mounted under the hood. And of course, being able to still easily get to it rather than having this mounted somewhere under here and having it permanently wired. I can do both. So I can charge my trailer, I can charge the auxiliary battery for the vehicle, or I can power my air compressor here right off of the alternator. And if you're wondering how I am able to power both battery systems at the same time, for example, if we're out off-roading all day long and I've depleted all my battery and the trailer's been sitting for a few days and it's been too cloudy or too cold to get any solar power to significantly recharge it, we have an hour drive in theory to our next destination here. And how am I going to utilize all that 170 amps if I can only charge one system at a time? And so I just have the main line here coming from basically underneath the car, sandwiched in here underneath the hatch, just charging into here. And then I'd have another, let's go over here. I have another 25 amp Anderson connector with 8 gauge wires that runs from here, then charging would be right behind me here, and it would run just basically 6-7 feet into the front battery box. So the trailer battery is able to receive around 15 amps of power, while the front is receiving around 20 amps of power. And if this were to be able to power both simultaneously without running it through the system, the trailer system would charge faster. But you get a little bit of energy loss, and there's only so much power that can actually come out of these outlets here. But for the time being, it's been a perfect solution, just because that the trailer has built-in solar panels. So priority charging the 4Runner, which has got a smaller battery anyways, and then reservoir topping off the larger house battery trailer here. I don't really need personally all this battery power, but it is nice being able to run an electric heater for the whole night, a high output heater, and or power up somebody else's equipment, jumpstart them without sacrificing your starter battery, all these kinds of things. Just the fact that I got these batteries for so cheap and all this stuff was just really fun and intuitive put together is the main reason why I wanted to do it. So just giving you guys some insight for that.